Good afternoon to
Good
everyone.
afternoon, sir.
Yeah, good afternoon. So we will be just going ahead with the new topic. So all of you have completed your internal exams. Everything went on fine for you. How was the paper?
It was good, sir.
Okay,
It
fine.
is good.
So I think the question paper was moderate, not so easy, not so difficult. All the things you might have able to solve it. So all
Yes,
of you
sir.
have completed it, right? It was fine for you.
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. So we have completed some of the concepts of fourth module. So still there are few more topics to be discussed in fourth module. That is, we are going to now see the introduction to root locus techniques. So here, it's all problematic topics which you are going to see here. You should be able to solve these numericals, and these problems will be with steps and all. You have to do step by step process, and you need to plot the root locus techniques and all has to be used in order to find the stability of the system. So in the previous classes and all, we have been discussing on the root stability criteria. So we are in module 4, and we are discussing on course outcome, that is fourth course CO, and fourth CO mainly deals with understanding the stability of the entire system. Either it can be root stability criteria or root locus techniques or whatever different methodologies are available in order to find the stability of the system. So all of you can just note down this thing, introduction to root locus techniques. Write down the topic, introduction to root locus techniques, and a definite question for university as well as for internal examination, root locus techniques. It's not that theory is may be asked. You will be asked to solve the problems on root locus techniques. So you need to understand each step and how to go ahead with that. So we'll be step by step process we'll be studying, and we'll be solving some numericals as well. So we will see how to go ahead with this root locus techniques. So what is root locus is a graphical representation. So you can see that you're going to draw the graph, and you are going to see that how the location of this, how it will be plotted, all those things, which is the roots where are placed, and all those things will be trying to understand here. So root locus is a graphical representation. So you need to, if you have a graph sheet, good. If you don't have a graph sheet, you can plot it in the pave notebook itself. Okay. So it is a graphical representation of the roots of the characteristic equation. So we are going to represent the roots of the characteristic equation in the graphical format, and this is as the system parameters is varied, is the powerful method of analyzing and design of for the stability. As I have told you, it will help us to analyze, and you can see that whether the system is stable and all those things, and the transient response also can be found using this method. So you can just make a note of these things. Introduction to root locus techniques. So it is a graphical representation of the characteristic equation. Means you're going to find out how the system performance will be, how it is going to improvise, how you can improve the performance of the system. Everything you can do the calculations, and you can make sure that your system performs better. So it gives an analysis and the design of the for the stability and transient response. So make a note of this one. And root locus can be defined as the locus of the roots of characteristic equation. So another definition what you can say is, it is defined as the locus of roots of the characteristic equation of as system gain k is varied from 0 to infinity. So that is that can also be called as the locus of the roots of characteristic equation. So it should be varied from 0 to infinity. Let us consider a negative feedback control system. From the beginning we have seen that first order system, second order system, and all those things. But every time we have taken a negative feedback system in order to understand these things. This can also be calculated for a positive feedback as well, but for our understanding, the same feedback mechanism is being used from, I can say that from module 2 onwards, or 3, third module, everywhere we are just going with the negative feedback system. So let us consider a negative feedback control system having an open loop transfer function. So we are considering a open loop transfer function as g of s h of s is equal to k divided by s plus 1, and where h of s we are taking it as 1, means it is having a unity feedback. Okay. So you can make a note of all these points. We will move on with the solution. This is a general explanation for the root locus. We will see with some equations and steps how to solve this problem. So the main purpose of this is to understand the stability of and the transient response of the system. So you, all of you have seen the characteristic equation as well. So since you have completed your IA, you may be up to date. So you are up to date of the previous syllabus. So till today, so you can just keep continuing your learning process, because once you understand, you should implement in the problem and check whether the method is it's satisfied properly or not. So here onwards we will be solving problems. Some problems may be 1 hour, it may go for the problem itself. Single problem may take almost 40-45 minutes. So you should be little fast in solving the problems. There will be some 8 steps, 10 steps. So these are all 10 marks questions which is going to be there for you for your university exam as well. Okay. So g of s and g of s h of s is taken as k divided by s plus 1, and h of s is taken as 1, that is unity feedback system. So make a note of all these points. So in general, we can write the equation for g of s h of s can be written for a system is k into s plus z1 into s plus z2 etc. s plus zm, and divided by s plus p1. Z is 0 and p is poles. So s plus p1, s plus p2 etc. s plus pn. Z is 0 and p is poles. Write down that general equation. You have already studied the characteristic equation. So characteristic equation we have already studied in the previous topic, that is 1 plus g of s h of s. So 1 plus g of s h of s is equal to 0 is taken as to be the characteristic equation. So we are going to see much in detail. These concepts you can just note down. So we have taken in this to understand, we have taken the system as g of s h of s is equal to k divided by s plus 1. Now we know that h of s is 1, so we can just proceed further, and we are going to see the characteristic equation. So you know that characteristic equation is represented as 1 plus g of s h of s is equal to 0. We have studied this before as well, so it is quite familiar with you that how to write the characteristic equation 1 plus g of s h of s is equal to 0. So here g of s h of s is given for you, that is k divided by s plus 1. So when it is k divided by s plus 1, substitute g of s h of s in the equation, that is k divided by s plus 1. So you'll get 1 plus k divided by s plus 1 is equal to 0. So this is your characteristic equation, 1 plus k divided by s plus 1 is equal to 0. So all of you complete till here. Afterwards we will be further discussing on the simplification of this, and we will see some of the steps involved in simplifying the root locus techniques. So once you complete it till the characteristic equation, you just let me know that we will continue further. So once you complete it, we will continue further. All of you listen carefully because root locus techniques need to be understood. All the 8 steps, whatever is involved, 8 to 10 steps are there. You have to understand. So when you come to the problem simplification and all those things, it will be very easy. So have you completed till the characteristic equation? Further, we will see from taking the characteristic equation, we will solve it further. So once you complete it, just let me know that we will proceed from the characteristic equation further on, taking 1 plus g of s h of s is equal to 0. Have you all completed?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we have used the characteristic equation and we know that g of s, h of s also, and h of s is taken as 1. For g of s, h of s we have substituted as k divided by s plus 1. So till there we have done. So when you simplify it further, so you'll get s plus 1 plus k is equal to 0. So I am just going to substitute few values there for k. So when I go for k is equal to 0, I get s is equal to minus 1 and k is equal to 1, s is equal to minus 2 and k is equal to infinity, s is equal to minus infinity. You have to substitute for the values of k, 0, 1 and infinity. So for different values of k, you will get the values of s as minus 1, minus 2 and minus infinity. So we got the roots and now we are going to see that how the roots are plotted in the figure. So we will see all those things. Each point what I discuss here, you will have to understand everything properly. So when k is equal to 0, 1 and infinity, you got s is equal to minus 1, minus 2 and minus infinity. We have taken the function g of s h of s is equal to k divided by s plus 1. We have used the characteristic equation 1 plus g of s h of s is equal to 0 and we got s. When you substitute that g of s h of s as k divided by s plus 1, you got s plus 1 plus k is equal to 0. For different values of k, you got different values of s, that is s is equal to minus 1, minus 2 and etc. minus infinity. So all of you might have completed that. So you can see that it is minus 1, minus 2, minus infinity. So the roots are placed in the figure. I will show you that these roots are joined by a smooth curve and resulting figure is known as the root locus. So I am going to this is a just very brief introduction about the root locus. You got the roots minus 1, minus 2 and minus infinity. I am going to, so all of you know that you have to take the S-plane representation, where you will have x-axis as sigma and y-axis as j omega. So we have already seen these things before as well. So j omega is y-axis and x-axis is sigma. So you have to plot these roots in the S-plane, and we are going to plot all these values, that is -1, -2 and minus infinity, and you have to draw with a smooth curve. So here don't use any just use your free hands to draw the lines, and it should be drawn neatly. Each figure what you are going to draw, marks will be there for that, when because it is a analysis what you have done by completing the problem. So all of you have got the values of S. Have you completed the values of S? Have you all completed S? You got it? The value of S as -1, -2, minus infinity?
Okay.
Okay. So let us proceed further and see that how it can be plotted on the S-plane. So I am going to show that how it can be plotted on the S-plane. So you have to draw this j omega axis. This is j omega axis and this is sigma, and you got for k value as 0, you got s is equal to -1. So for the value of k is equal to 0, so you got this is -1. So -1 will be represented in this, a pole will be represented as -1 here. Next value is -2. -2 is also represented here. Next value is etc. -3, -4, like that. Last value will be minus infinity. And you can see that this has been drawn. This continuously has been drawn with a smooth curve which touch all these poles. Okay, so this is what you are going to do it. So this is this representation is called as the root locus. So this representation in the S-plane is called as root locus. So all of you draw that. See, I need more response from your side. Have you all completed till S is equal to -1, -2 and minus infinity? Any doubts are there for you?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Okay,
No,
fine.
sir.
So it is clear for everyone. So then plot that. This is just a basic definition for root locus. All of you plot this figure. Represent -1, which you got the value of S, -2 next value of S, -3 next value of S, etc. minus infinity for the values of k is equal to 0, 1, 2, 3, etc. infinity. So whether the system is, this is in the LHS, means left side of this, whether the system is stable or unstable, what it will be the system when the poles are represented here? Any one of you? Few
Stable,
things
sir.
we stable, because we have studied these things in previous class as well. So the system will be stable. So that is what you are going to see here in the root locus. You are going to plot the graph and you are going to, but there will be many steps for you to do before the plot, and once you plot it, you are going to see that whether the system is stable, unstable, marginally stable and all those things. So you can just write down, for a closed loop control system to be stable, the root locus must lie completely on the LHS of the S-plane. So if it is on root locus, if it lies on the LHS of the S-plane, then you can say that the system is stable. If the root locus root locus we are going to see here, this line what we have drawn, that is called as a root locus. Okay, this line joining all the points which we have drawn, that is called as the root locus. So if it lies in the LHS, then it is called as a stable system. And if the root locus completely lie on the RHS of the S-plane, then the closed loop system is unstable. And if the root locus lie partially on LHS of the S-plane and partly on the RHS of S-plane, then then the system will be, if it is available both LHS and RHS, then you can say that this, yeah, that is correct. So the closed loop system is called as conditionally stable, marginally stable, all those things are same. So these are the three things which you have to understand: when the system will be stable, when it will be unstable, when it will be conditionally stable. So when you plot the root locus, if it is in the LHS of the S-plane, then it is called as stable. If it is in the RHS of the S-plane, it is called as unstable. If it is partly on LHS and RHS, then it is called as conditionally stable. So for a first order system, the roots of the characteristic equation are pure real roots. So we are going to see the first order system. So first you complete it, all the three cases, and then we will see further. So the plot is done on the S plane, that is j omega axis as y and sigma as this one, and for different values of k you got different values of s, and it is plotted. You have joined those lines with a smooth curve. Okay, so that part is done. You have understood that when the system will be stable, unstable, and conditionally stable. So those things also you have completed. Is that over?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So further we will see that we are going to see the first order system. You have seen first order system, second order system and all we have studied already before. Let me take a first order system. The roots of the characteristic equation, I am taking the roots of the characteristic equation. What is a characteristic equation? 1 plus g of s h of s is equal to 0. So I am going to take the roots of the characteristic equation are purely real, and root locus is confined to real axis only for the system with order generated greater than or equal to 2. So this is also what one point you can note it down. For the first order roots of the characteristic equation are purely real, and the root locus is confined to the real axis only for the system with order, means greater than or equal to 2. So it should be, the order of the system has to be more than or equal to 2. The roots of the characteristic equation could be a complex based on the value of k. So one condition what you have to understand here is the order of the system what you are going to take should be greater than or equal to 2, and the roots of the characteristic equation will be a complex based on the value of k. This means that the root locus can be anywhere in the S plane. So if that is the case, then the roots of the characteristic equation be a complex based on the values of k. If that is the case, the root locus can be placed anywhere in the S plane as well. So these are few theory what you can make a note of it. So it is also possible for you to draw the root locus without, you can find out the root locus without actually finding out the roots of the characteristic equation. So it, uh, if you are very much expert in finding out these things, it's also possible to find out the root locus without finding out the roots of the characteristic equation. But whenever we are doing any problems and all, most of the cases we will be finding out the roots then of the characteristic equation, plotting those things, everything is there. But it's also possible to draw the root locus without actually finding the roots of the characteristic equation. So how it is done we will see next. First to complete this part, then we will go to the continuation of that. So this is a very basic introduction about the root locus, and sometimes no they ask you a theory question also based on root locus, explain root locus and with an example. So you may have to give an example and you have to explain the root locus. So you need to define the root locus and you should say that when the system is stable, unstable, conditionally stable. You should also say that how you are going to, what are the steps involved in finding out the root locus and how it can be plotted, what is the purpose of doing that. So you can complete this portion and then we will proceed further. Once you complete it, just let me know that, then we will continue further. So we'll be finding out the roots of the characteristic equation and then putting those in the figure and then going with the smooth curve. We'll be seeing all the steps involved in it to find out the root locus, and we will be doing it. So one or two problems when we solve it, all the steps will be very much clear for you. So we'll see all those things further. So all of you have completed?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So continuation of this, so as I have discussed before, the actually the process is to find out the roots and then plot it in the root locus and see that whether it is in the LHS or RHS or whether it is in both LHS and RHS, and say that whether the system is stable, unstable or conditionally stable. That is the process. So if some cases what will happen is the root locus can be also found without actually finding the actual roots of the characteristic equation. This is found by considering, so what you can do is you can consider the negative feedback control system as in figure. So we are going to see that how it can be done. So we have seen that this is a first order system where you have G of S and a negative feedback system, that is H of S. So this is a very basic block diagram for a system, and the characteristic equation, as we have already studied, it is 1 plus G of S H of S is equal to 0. So it can also be written as G of S H of S is equal to minus 1. It can also be written as minus 1 plus J0. It's all the one and the same. And G of S H of S can also be written as 1 angle 2 cube plus 1 into 180 degree, where Q can be 1, 2, 3, etc. So G of S H of S can be minus 1 or 1 angle 2 cube plus 1 into 180 degree. What does that mean? From this, what you can understand, you are going with the characteristic equation. This means that any roots of the characteristic equation must satisfy two conditions. So this is, we are going to see that any roots of the characteristic equation must satisfy two conditions. We are going to see both the conditions. First, you can draw this diagram. It is a negative feedback control system, and we have just taken a characteristic equation 1 plus g of s h of s is equal to 0, or g of s h of s is equal to -1. It can also be written as 1 angle of 2q plus 1 into 180 degree, where q is 0, 1, 2, 3, etc. So we have two conditions for any roots of the characteristic equation. We are going to see that the conditions for the roots of the characteristic equation. After completing it, I will move further. So make a note of that equations, and we are going to see the conditions for the system. So we will see that what are the two main conditions for any roots of the characteristic equation must satisfy. So what are those conditions? So the first one is magnitude condition, where you have modulus of g of s h of s has to be equal to 1, and next one is the phase condition. So that is angle of g of s h of s, that is 2q plus 1 into 180 degree, has to be where q is equal to 0, 1, 2, 3, etc. So this has to be satisfied. Angle of this g of s h of s has to be 2q plus 1 and 180 degree. So these are the two conditions. One is magnitude condition, another is phase condition. So these two conditions has to be satisfied for any characteristic roots of any characteristic equation. So today we will be completing this concepts now, and tomorrow we will be having some problems on root locus. So every one of you should understand these things properly. Tomorrow Saturday, no? Okay. So we most probably the next class. Okay. So two conditions we have to understand here. We will be using these two conditions further in the problem as well. First one is magnitude condition, another is called as the phase condition. It has to satisfy. When you're doing the problem, you have to make sure that the magnitude and phase conditions are satisfied. Based on the above two criteria, various guidelines have been derived for rapid plotting of the root locus. So we are going to see the guidelines for the construction of root locus. So now it is very important for you to understand the construction of the root locus. That is what the steps which are involved in solving the problem. So you understood that how the characteristic equation has to be taken. You understood that what are the roots of the characteristic equation when it is in the LHS, what will be when it is in the RHS, what it will be when it is both in LHS and RHS. You call it as conditionally stable. So you have seen stability, instability, everything. So once you note down this, we will move on to each step or the construction of root locus. So here the two main important conditions what we have studied is magnitude condition and phase condition. So this all things will reflect now in the construction of root locus, how to construct the root locus in order to measure the stability of the system. And all of you can try some mini projects as well. I want you to try some mini projects, learn few MATLAB experiments, few codes, how to write the code and all. There is very simple expression can be used in order to run the code for root locus, and you can see that the root locus gets generated as and when you give the means the characteristic equation. So when you give the system performance, you can see that all the steps the MATLAB will simulate, and it will give you the final output. So that is quite interesting to see how it comes. So you can just work on those things as a mini project, a group of 5 students together. Number of students maximum can be 5. So make a team of 5, and you can try one small mini project, and you can submit it. Anything you can either do root locus, you can do root Hurwitz criteria, bounded input, bounded anything with respect to control system, whether it is there in syllabus, not there in syllabus, not an issue. Anything you can, anything innovative also you can come out with as a mini project. Okay, you think of it, some some team of 5 students you can make, whomsoever you want you can select it. I don't restrict anyone, you can be in any of the teams and carry out this. So let us see that construction of root locus all of you have completed. All of you have completed this. See, are you still writing or it's over?
We are still writing, sir.
Okay, fine. So construction, we have so many steps. So one by one we will see, and you should be very careful while understanding each step. So if you understand this root locus properly, the margin of error for the university exam is very less actually, because each step you step by step process you have to go for any problem. Okay, I think you might have completed by this time.
Yes, sir.
So construction of root locus, we will focus on the construction of root locus, the first step. So you can see that first I will just take you through the entire process. There are first step, second step, so it's a lengthy process, third, step 3, then step 4, step 5, like that so many steps are involved. Okay, step 5, step 6. So around 8 to 10 steps are there. So we will be studying each and everything. So understand this carefully, how I am going to solve or how I am going to go with the construction of root locus. Today we will go with first, second or third step. I will brief it again in the next class and we will continue that further. So first step, we will see that. So what you have to see first is the root locus will have as many loci or branches as the order of the system characteristic equation. First you should understand the which order characteristic equation it is, whether it is first order, second order, third order system, which order characteristic equation it is. So the root locus will have as many loci or branches. So you can say that if it is a first order system, it will have one branch. If it is a second order system, it will have two branches. So what all branches and all those things will say, I will tell you. This is here you can see that this one portion where you have moved from the pole towards the zero, this arrow mark, this is called as a branch. So if you are going with a single order system, you will be having one branch. If you have two or second order system, you will be having two multiples. So as per the order of the system characteristic equation, you can say that how many branches it will be there. Since the number of poles of g of s h of s exceeds the number of zeros of g of s h of s, the order of the equation is determined by the number of poles of g of s h of s. So this point is very important for you to understand. You will be having the characteristic equation and you will be finding out that how many poles are there and how many zeros are there. So this, mark it as, underline this sentence. This is very important for you to understand this. We'll be using these things further. So if the, since the number of poles of g of s h of s, you think that you are having the characteristic equation, you will be finding out the poles and zeros. So if we'll be doing all those things further. So if the poles exceeds the number of zero, means the number of poles is more than the number of zeros, then you have the order of the equation is determined by the number of poles of g of s h of s. Then you can say that if number of poles is exceeds the number of zeros, then the order, means which order system it is determined by the poles. So a branch of root locus always starts, this is also very important. I have shown you the branch of the root locus always starts on a pole and ends on a zero. That is what you can see here. This is the pole marked by a cross mark, and these are all examples I am showing you. When we do the problem, it will be much clear for you. So we have marked the poles. So first our responsibility is to find out the poles and zeros and all. We will find out the poles and zeros, then mark the pole. So I have marked the pole, and when I draw the branch, this branch has to start from the pole towards the zero. That is this condition. So a branch of the root locus always starts on a pole and end on a zero. So it should start from a pole and it will end towards the zero. So you can see that I have put one pole here at k is equal to 0, you got it as -1, and k is equal to infinity, you got as 0 as -2. So I can say that the branch is moving from the pole towards the 0. So that is what you can see here. These conditions, you make a note of it. Now we are going to see an example, taking an example for the characteristic equation g of s h of s is equal to k into s plus 2 divided by s plus 1. So before that, make a note of these points. So we'll be seeing that how we'll be, we got g of s h of s is given here k into s plus 2 divided by s plus 1. So we have to write 1 plus g of s h of s is equal to 0. That is the characteristic equation. Substitute g of s h of s, simplify that, find out the poles and zeros. So here, once you can listen for a minute, so what you will get on the root locus, you have two conditions. One is magnitude and another is phase condition. So magnitude is what g of s h of s is equal to 1. So we are going to solve it, k into s plus 2 divided by s plus 1 is equal to 1. Solve the value for k. That you will get k is equal to s plus 2 divided by s plus 1 divided by s plus 2. So here we have to understand one thing carefully. Numerator, write it down somewhere, all of you. Numerator will be 0. I have already discussed in the third module as well. Numerator will be 0 and the denominator will be poles. So it will be a combination of 0 divided by poles. So when you solve it, s plus 1 is equal to 0, s is equal to -1. This is called as 0, and S plus 2 is equal to 0, S is equal to minus 2. So you'll get poles and zeros. So I think it's time for today. We will discuss the steps further, and we will understand these things in much detail for the next class. Okay. So much of things are there to be discussed. We'll discuss in the next class. So we'll stop it here. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.